On this webcast, we're going to talk with Gary Bishop about what you ought to be thinking for 2018. Unfuck yourself. Let's go. Hey everybody, this is Antoine with Catapult Marketing, and this is webcast number 29. And we're wrapping up the year, and today we have Gary John Bishop in the house. Hi Gary, how are you?
I'm awesome, Antoine. How are you doing today?
I'm doing marvelous. It's really cool to have you and to see you again and talk to you again. It's been way too long. It's been, I don't know how many years it's been, but it's been a long time. Gary,
That's right.
you really are becoming
French accent.
Yeah, my French, your French accent. Yeah, we got the French and the Scottish accent today. Gary, I'm seeing you all over social media, and you're becoming a recognized face. So I'm going to assume that a lot of people know you, but there's also maybe a few people out there that don't know who you are. So for those of you that of them that don't know you, please introduce yourself and say who you are and why you get up in the morning.
Yeah. So my name is Gary John Bishop. You've got that French accent. I've got a Scottish one. I'm what you might call a personal development or personal growth expert. That is, I'm somebody who has spent many years working with people to elevate their effectiveness in life. And that's what I do. I've written a best-selling book. I deliver and produce courses for people. I speak to people. I'm somebody who my life is about making a difference for people so that they get to live the life that they maybe always thought they could, but somehow it seems out of reach.
Yeah, and so this is the book that you've been talking about, which is an amazing book.
Right.
And I don't know that they may say see it upside down, but it's a great title. And I'm actually, I was thinking about this. I am going to wrap this up. So I bought the book and I also bought the audiobook because I can't read a book to save my life. I fall asleep, but I do audiobook. So I'm going to give this book, and I was thinking, I got to be careful who I give this to, because when they open it up, they're going to think like, what do you mean by that? So, but in any case, I think there's a lot of people that should have this book in under the Christmas tree or in their Hanukkah basket, whatever it is, for Christmas. Gary, we're wrapping up 2017, and 2017 was what it was. It was all his successes and all his failures. So you gotta kind of like wrap it up and say, okay, this is what I've done and this is what I didn't do. And 2018 is there, and I couldn't think of a better person to bring on to wrap up the year than you, because I think we should talk about what your life's work is about, and getting out of your own way and really setting up 2018 on the right foot. So even though this title might seem a little bit provocative, I think it just would be an amazing gift for anyone to actually listen to, read, or whatever. There are three things that you and I were talking before we started to record that you should think about when you're setting yourself for 2018, really from a personal standpoint, because we're great at setting up the goals for the business. We're going to grow by 30%, and we're going to acquire new clients, and we're going to do all this, and I'm going to lose 20 pounds, and all this shit that we've been doing for 10, 20 years. It's the same thing over and over and over again, but like really, like for you, I mean you and me and stuff, like what is it that we should focus on that would actually provide enormous amount of help? So the first point you mentioned was get clarity, get straight with yourself, why you are the way you are. And I think this is a great one, and you address that beautifully in the book. So tell me more about that. What do you mean by get clarity?
Well, I think, the book's titled the way it's titled, by the way, because there are people on the spectrum, for instance, that you might say, well, it's pretty obvious they'll fuck themselves, right? So you buy a book called Unfuck Yourself. but it actually applies to everybody. Like, what are the ways in which you've done it though? Like, and you've done it in sometimes very subtle ways, in ways that you don't even realize you're doing it. And so, that's what I do get into in the book. I actually start to have people deal with the ways in which you've literally screwed yourself over. And the clarity that you need to get is that there's nothing happening in life that's going to screw you over without your permission. So you need to get really clear, like, you are the epicenter of everything. The only barriers that you're up against are yourself and your own self-doubt, your own worry, your own anxiety, your own lack of confidence, your own lack of imagination sometimes. That you keep looking in front of yourself. You keep focusing on the circumstances of your life rather than how they all came together and what's at the center of it. So that clarity comes from, and I say this to myself all the time, I'm an asshole. I totally let myself get stopped. I totally let myself get deflated. I totally let myself get pissed off and angry. And I don't think big. I think in terms of what I think I can do. I don't think of my life in terms of what I think I can't do. I avoid that shit.
That's right.
So that clarity comes from starting to really get grounded in, all right, what's the deal here? What's really going on? Let me cut out all this. I'm going to lose 10 pounds. Let me get straight about the asshole that's been doing this for 10 years and hasn't done it. Or, doubling my income, or starting a new business, or writing a book, or asking somebody out on a date, or whatever the thing is. You need to start to get really clear. Like, there's no coincidences going on in your life. It's all a function of you and how you do things.
Wow. Yeah. You are 100% responsible. That's just really, it just takes huge ownership and taking it. And I remember I read in the book a part where you were talking about the willingness or the unwillingness to do things. And you were actually talking about, the reason why you have the extra 15 pounds is for no other reason that you are unwilling to lose it.
Right.
And that
right.
when I frame it like that, I am unwilling to lose the weight, then I have to be 100% responsible for it. Then there's just nothing that is doing it out there. And that's the same for your income, for your relationship, for your business, everything. It's right there. So there's really some powerful, some very powerful distinctions there, Gary. And if for anyone that is looking for self-development in 2018, that's kind of like, the way to get yourself going. The second point you were talking, by the way, if you're listening to that and it's opening things up for you, and you would have some questions with Gary, well, what do you mean by this and whatnot, please use the comments and put some comments and some questions. And I will make sure I will flag this to Gary, and then he comes and answers your question. But I would be interested to hear from you guys, and I think there would be a lot of juice there for people to actually share things that you've been unwilling to be straight about, or unwilling to just do and just take responsibility, or just areas that you're maybe not willing to do that. So this was point number one: get clarity. Why you are the way you are. The number two is you're telling me what is this going to take. So tell me more about that.
Right.
Like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah. So, it's pretty much been proved in neuroscience that you think in images. So whenever you say, like, I'm going to lose 20 pounds, your brain automatically starts producing an image of what that looks like.
Right.
And if I'm going to make 200 grand this year, or 500 grand, or 80 grand, or 40 grand this year, you've got an image in your head. And that image is just based on some shit you did before, or what you saw somebody else do, either in person or in television or something. So you end up with this kind of hazy, cloudy image of what you're about to do. And then you start doing it. And then you start realizing, like, shit, this is harder than I thought. It's taking longer than I thought. And the self-doubt starts to kind of creep in.
Right.
And you'll start to build a compelling case for not doing it. Like, well, I did half of it. That was great, right? Like, I lost 5 pounds.
Right.
So it's time for some pasta.
Yeah.
Or some cake or a croissant.
Yeah, croissant.
But, well, croissant. But, or bread, cheese. But the point is, there's no reality to your future. You don't relate to your future like in terms of its reality. Like, what's it actually going to? So if you want to lose weight, like I took on yesterday. I said, okay, I'm going to start running, and I'm not really. I'm a soccer guy. I need to chase a ball, right? Just running just seems like the most pointless thing unless you're being chased.
Right. With a guy with a knife.
A pretty good.
Maybe that's what you need to do. Hire a guy to chase you with a knife.
Running like a good thing right there. But for the most part. But anyway, as I said, I take on running. And what I did was I really confronted the reality of me running in the morning. Like, what's it going to take? Like, when am I going to get out of bed? Where am I going to, getting the clothes on, the gear on? And then when I come back, I'm going to have a shower. I'm going to have to do this all before I start work in the morning. Like, there's a stone cold reality to that stuff.
Right.
And I'm doing it, right? Like, this is what I'm going to do, or this is what I'm doing. There's no gonna do. This is what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to keep doing it. There's no limit to it. I'm going to do it every day. And not most days, but every day. I'm going to do it every day. And then I'm going to hold myself to that line. And there's a lot of things that are going to come up in the next year, or the next week, or the next month, that are going to say to me, not today, though.
Yeah.
Don't do it today.
No.
We got to do that or that, or you're in pain, or you've got a cold, or there'll be mitigating circumstances that'll arise that they'll be strong enough that I get to set it aside. So you got to start this. It begins with getting straight with yourself about you, but it also the next step is starting to deal with the reality of what you're saying. Mm-hmm. And in that reality, you'll see how full of shit you are. Like, am I really going to do this? Or am I just saying this to make myself feel better about where I'm currently at? Mm-hmm. And I've got this thing called hope about the future, which makes no difference. Hope's fine, but it's a false flag, if you like. It doesn't do shit until you act in alignment with the thing you're hoping to accomplish.
Right, action, just the stuff. But I think it's just the reality, and I do that every time. I mean, now I'm going to the gym. I have it scheduled twice a week, but every time I get in the gym, and one of the things I discovered is that I will not go to the gym unless I have a trainer. So I have a trainer that actually takes me there, but I'm just really, really, really clear how much I hate it. And I just don't like the gym. I mean, there's just never a time where I'm going to like going in that gym or going out there on purpose. I just don't enjoy it. And maybe it's, and I'm actually dealing with that. I'm actually looking at that. I just really freaking hate it. And I found any way to cheat with the trainer. It tells me do 10, I'll do 9. And it's just a freaking game like that. And but at least I'm being, present to it, and I'm kind of like looking at my own self, just hating that. But it's really interesting. It's just like, what is it going to take? Like, just be super clear. Like, I want to be a millionaire, and I hear that, I've been hearing this, like, okay, I'm going to make $1 million, or I'm going to have this, I'm going to have 100,000 followers on YouTube, or I'm going to have that. And I'm like, okay, do you understand you got 537 followers right now, right? And it's going to take something for you. And I could see the gap, but I don't think that we can see our own gap, or that we have that full of shitness about it. That is just like, there's nothing wrong with wanting $1 million in a bank or 100,000 YouTube subscribers, but it's going to take a massive effort to pull it off and be grounded in the reality.
Can I offer you something about that?
Yeah.
Can I offer you something about that?
Yeah, please.
Right, and this is for anybody who's listening or watching right now. You want to kind of lay your life over the top of what I'm saying to kind of see how it fits. But if you take the example, like you currently have 500 followers and you want 100,000 followers, you'd have to look like every day, what actions am I taking that are the kind of actions that has 100,000 followers? And you'll notice that it's none. Like you're actually not taking any actions.
None.
That are consistent with 100,000 followers. At least, like, unless you're going to live 10 consecutive lifetimes,
Yeah.
then that 500 rate might turn out 100,000 followers by the time you're 482.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So the reality is, and this is the reality part, your actions are not consistent in any way with 100,000 followers. It's more like something you want rather than something you are aggressively, actively, on point, working on daily and dealing with what you need to deal with to produce that result.
Right.
So it's like how we most live our lives. It's like, here's what I want to do. Here's what I'd love to do. But it's not down in the dirt. And when you see your current state, like where you're currently at, that's what you're up to.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's your level.
Yeah.
So you're always trying to win the game you're playing. The problem is you're not always aware of the game you're playing because in your mind you think you're playing some other game. Right? Like I want to be a millionaire, but I'm struggling to pay my power bill. Something's not matching.
Right.
Right? Like you can't pay your cable bill right now. You got to consider the notion that you are not in the game of being a millionaire.
No.
You're in some other game called pay my bills on time. And what it would take to be a millionaire, there's a big world you need to reach into. Now, I'm not saying it's easy, because it's not easy. But it really does take this kind of cold look at your performance and what you're actually doing and the results that you currently have in your life, like what's currently there. So if your bank balance has got $300 in it and you've got 22 subscribers on YouTube, that's the net result of your efforts thus far. And if you want to do something way beyond that, you got to do two things. Act differently, definitely. And then number two, you got to start critically thinking, like really thinking about what it would take. And the answer is with you, but it takes rigorous thinking and not giving up. Not like, I don't know what to do. I'm confused. It's too much. That's all bullshit. You need to get beyond that. There's a life on the other side of that that you got to start reaching into to get informed by.
Yeah, you're right on point, and I think we haven't talked about that, but we haven't. I think there is also a bit of impatience in with people that being grounded in the reality of how long does it take to actually do things, and it just things take time. Like 100,000 subscribers, it's not gonna happen in the next quarter. It could happen like if you just get a viral video with Brad Pitt or George Clooney or some kind of like weird things like that. You may just explode, but the reality for all of us is it's just not going to happen like that. It's just consistency and do the work and just don't get stopped.
Right, and keep and working on your message. Like your message is way more important than who's following it. And at this point, it's all about, is this of value to people? The numbers will take care of themselves.
Yeah. So, again, I'd like to hear your comments or questions here about that because, what is going to take, you have to take a serious look at yourself. And I'd like to hear from some of you, if there is things that you've confronted in your life that occurred as a roadblock, like you were like, yes, but you don't know my circumstances. So I'd like to know what those yes, but are, the reasons, and be straight, sometimes the yes, but with me or the 5-year-old screaming in me and I just don't freaking feel like it. And I just got to deal with, that sometime the 5-year-old will actually act up like that. So I'd like to hear yours. Put it in the comments right below. The third one is, it's probably going to be my favorite. I mean, both points were like amazing because I know you're like right on target. And the third one is, how do we sabotage ourselves? And you have some excellent point there that, what do you mean I sabotage myself? I don't sabotage myself. Life happens, and then it just happened to me. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, I mean, for you or anybody watching or listening right now, you'll notice your life has a certain flavor to it. Like there's a certain kind of you-ness in it. And, people are usually surprised when I say this, but you're not wired for success. You're hardwired to overcome what's in the way of your success. Mm-hmm. So that is, your personality is there for you to win, but more accurately, it's actually more there for you to be successful in winning without ultimately having the win. So I'll give you an example. Mm-hmm. So there might be people listening or watching right now who one time in their life said, I am going to get that degree. Mm-hmm. And you went for it. You went for the degree and you engaged with that whole process. Mm-hmm. And then you produced the degree. But the thing is, did that do it? Like, were you left with, I made it? Now, you might have been, but it would have been fleeting. And then what would have been presented to you was the next thing you need to do. Like, it's the degree clearly was just step one then. I'm now realizing there's a step 2 or a step 3 or a step 8. And your life is a sequence of these things. Sequence of that's not it. I mean, look, 5 years ago or 3 years ago, if I'd said to you, you're going to have 500 people who voluntarily subscribe to your YouTube channel to listen to you, you would have said, oh, that's freaking great. 500 people are interested in what I've got to say. That's fantastic.
Right.
But here we are, you're like, that ain't it.
That wasn't it.
So that ain't it. It's not doing it. Uh-huh. So your wiring isn't designed for you to have success. It's not designed for you to have it, to hold it, to be with it like a little precious thing. It's not like that. You're constantly in a state of just short of where you think you should be. And then sometimes, and this is the sabotage part, and if you think about it, you'll see the examples of where you've done this, where things are going pretty well in your life and you'll throw a fucking hand grenade in it. So like you're getting along well with your wife and you're like, you know what, that was annoying. Let me talk about this with this person. Even though I know this is not going to go well, mm-hmm. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Right? Or I've been doing really great in the diet. The pounds are falling off. Maybe I'll have some cheesecake.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good idea at this point. Hand grenade right in the fucking middle of your plan.
I earned it, right? I'm going to have cheese and wine.
Right, exactly. Or like getting out of debt. Like you spend 2 years saving up and then 6 months blowing the whole fucking thing again. Right? It's like, why am I doing this? Why do I keep doing it? It's because your personality can't be with your ultimate success. It has to have something to struggle against, to validate its existence. Mm. So you have a life that's driven by your own personality. Mm-hmm. And that's when when I say to people, well, if you could do anything with your life, what would you do? There's always a limit to it. It's not like this wild, fantastical, like, well, I would be able to swim with dolphins. And it's not shit like, own my own house and have a car. There's a limit to it. And that's the game you're playing. You're playing within that parameter. You're playing in that domain, as I like to call it. Mm. And the point of it actually is not to get shit done, but to work at getting shit done.
Right.
So the point of it is not to accomplish. The point of it is to play the game of accomplishing.
Yes, the
so
journey.
That your personality is something to fucking do.
Yeah, It makes complete sense actually. You know, it's strange because you're like, what do you mean I don't sabotage myself? And it's like as you're talking, I'm like, yeah, totally. It's like we enjoy the struggle, we enjoy the overcoming the odds. Actually,
even when you say you don't, even like, no, I want an easy life.
Right.
No, well, I know, but then why are you still struggling then?
Right. Yeah.
Why aren't you just having an easy life?
Right. And you know, it's funny because I'm just like getting something here with Gary Vaynerchuk. He's talking about his lifelong legacy is to own the Jets, and he actually has said like he knows the second he owns the Jet that it's going to be game over for him. It's going to be totally ruined, and he may do something. I mean, I don't know. I'm extrapolating, but it's actually really interesting that it's not.
Yeah.
The owning the Jet is like really the journey and the course of doing this. So might as well set like some big freaking goals that are really like think big, think much bigger than yourself, because the second you get there, it's gonna be like. I remember I don't remember what was that in the 1990s. I was thinking, when I'll make $500 a week, that'll be it.
Right.
Consistently. $500 a week, and I'm often reminded of that by my wife. You used to say that, and I was like, yeah, no, I know. And it's like it's funny because now you're there, and it's like, well, that's not it. Then maybe it's $500,000. Yeah, maybe that's what I need to say. Okay, when I'll make $500,000 a week. But again, it's like I totally get your point that we self-sabotage. In ourselves.
Well, the problem is. No matter the result, it's still you.
Right.
And you're a fucking problem. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a problem.
Yeah, this is a problem.
This isn't doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
Right? This isn't always happy or joyful or satisfied.
Yeah.
So with that thing with Gary Vaynerchuk is really there's a paradigm shift that has to happen with us as human beings. And I've discovered this for myself, and it serves me well.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm way less fascinated by the results and way more into the kind of shit that I get myself into. So I'm way more fascinated by, man, what have I got writing a book? Like, what have I gotten myself into? I'm way into that, or I've written a course, or whatever my thing is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I'm way more, and often I work, I have a creative team who does a lot of work for me,
mm-hmm.
and they're very interested in the results. And when we get to the results, they're like, yay! I don't care what the result was. I want to create something else from that I don't think I can do,
mm-hmm.
and play that and see where that takes me. Mm-hmm. And the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So I've really switched it for myself, and I have like an authentic, no kidding love of the game, and the results are the results.
That's a great distinction. It's just don't be so obsessed by the end result. I mean, you need to put like a mark. Saying, okay, this is what we're aiming for, like as in writing the book. But it's not the writing the book that that is the ultimate goal, is that, this book is going to have lots of pages with words on it, which you're going to have to come up with and write all this thing and do all the research and do all the study and talk to all the people that, got you to do this book. But at the end result is like, okay, great, now I have a book. Now next thing, I'm writing the next book, because that's the journey. That's a really, really interesting distinction there, Gary. I've never heard that.
Yeah.
I probably have heard it. Some people may read this, of course, but it's like, it's the first time it resonates with me. So thank you for that. So
yeah, and I think you just made an important point there. You made an important point that there's a lot of things you've heard in your life. There's a lot of things but you've never really applied it to yourself. You've never done the rigorous, and I don't mean just you, I just mean we as people. Mm-hmm. We don't do the rigorous thinking to get to what does this say about me and the reality of my life?
Mm-hmm.
And because there's so much great stuff already out there, like wisdom and philosophy that's thousands of years old, but for us, it's kind of like a bumper sticker.
Yeah.
You know, do unto others as they would do unto you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, well, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But then go ahead and do that then. Or, like go ahead and live your life like holding yourself to account to a standard
Mm-hmm.
that you want to be treated like. Try doing that when somebody's being an asshole with you. Like, how would I want to be treated when I'm being an asshole? There's so much great wisdom out there, but it doesn't live for us. There's no aliveness to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes thinking.
Yeah, it does. This is awesome. So, same thing here. If you have some comments about, how you sabotage yourself, or maybe how you put, roadblocks or whatever it is that you do, sometimes it's just numbing and having more wine and cheese than you should. I'm talking about myself here last Friday night. But I'd like to hear your comments there. Just put them right below. Give me your comments where you sabotage yourself. And on that note, Gary, this wraps up the webcast. I mean, we've covered 3 great points. Get clarity. What is it going to take for you to get it done, and how we sabotage ourselves? Like, this really is an amazing webcast for everyone to listen to. So if you've listened to all this, please share this with other people, because they really need to hear that to set themselves up for 2018. And I'm extremely grateful for your generosity and kindness to be here with me today.
You're welcome. Thank you, Antoine. It's been great.
Yeah, it's been great. But I want to give you a little bit of props because, well, first of all, you're an amazing guy. So let me reduce the screen here. I'm going to put you and I here. And I'm going to open up this. I'm not going to hide us. So there's few things for all of you there. And I'll put the links. All the links will be below. So this is Gary's website. It's unfucknation.com. So you can sign up for his email. And there is some information about Gary here. You can find some stuff about Gary and what he does. There are a couple, actually 3 classes of Creative Live, and one of them is $69, $100, and $99. Like, you really can't go wrong with those. I think those are a great gift for someone, or for yourself, starting with yourself. So those are really great courses. I listened to Stop Making Excuses, the introduction. I think it's very well done, the way you've done it. Obviously, you have the book, the Amazon. So I bought the book, and I'm going to give it to someone as a gift. I'm going to actually. I just want to look at their face when they're opening up the book, but I'm giving it to someone that's going to truly enjoy that. I also got it on audio, because this is how I listen to content. And you can also find Gary on Instagram. He has a very active presence on social media. So at Gary John Bishop on Instagram, great post. You do a lot of great memes. And that's really cool. You're also very active on Facebook at facebook.com/1in7billion. That is your page.
That's exactly the point is we are each 1 in 7 billion.
Wow, very cool, very cool. Okay, got it. As I'm reading it, I'm noticing that. So facebook.com/1in7billion, written in all letters, no numbers there. And the third one is Twitter, which is at Gary John Bishop.